teachings. So on that note, I'd like to introduce our teacher, Vimalasara Mason-John. She's currently the president of the Buddhist Recovery Network. She was the co-founder and guiding teacher of Healing and Insight, which is an online faculty that explored the sharp edges of suffering. She's an award-winning author of 8 books. And she's the co-founder and co-author of 8-Step Recovery, using the Buddhist teachings to overcome addiction. And there are now 8-step meetings in 4 continents as a result. She's also the co-founder of Mindfulness-Based Addiction Recovery, and she's a senior teacher in the Triratna order and community. So coming up, she'll be leading a 28-day online course called Mindfulness Approaches for Addiction. And this begins on January 13th. And I'm going to put the link into the chat field, but I'd also like to say it aloud for our podcast audience. It is MBAR 2020, MBAR 2020.eventbrite.com. Welcome, Vimalasara.
So it's great to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. It gives me great pleasure to be with you all. And I just want to say that when I come and do this is a recovery meeting for me too. Okay, so I really get a lot of benefit being here and to remind myself of all those triggers that are going to be happening over this festive season, over the Christmas season and New Year's season, because there's a hell of a lot of them and I have to remind myself. But let's start with a short meditation. So I want you to have a good look at your hand. I want you to have a good look at your hand. And this hand is going to go onto your heart, okay? Yeah. Because this hand on your heart is going to be the very thing that's going to give you some kindness, you know? We don't have to wait for anybody to give us kindness and compassion. We can give it ourselves. So with this hand on your heart, I really, as you breathe in, receive the kindness from your hand into your body. So as you breathe in, breathing in kindness. And as you breathe out, breathing out kindness throughout your whole body. As you breathe in, breathing in kindness. And as you breathe out, breathing out kindness throughout your whole body. Yeah. And I really want you, as you have your hand on your heart and you're breathing in this kindness, I really want you to really see if you can actually feel and experience the kindness. What does the kindness feel like when you breathe in? And it might not be a pleasant experience. So, you know, you don't have to think, oh, I've got to look for this pleasurable experience, because kindness, as we breathe it in, especially if we're not used to giving it to ourselves, may not be experienced as pleasant. There may be some numbness there. And if you can't feel anything, just touch in or feel into the hand on your heart. So I'm going to keep quiet now. I'm going to just do the phrase one more time, and then I'm going to leave you on your own. And together, as we breathe in, we receive kindness from our own hand. And as we breathe out, we breathe out kindness throughout our whole body. Welcome to the person who's just joined us. So inviting you to place the hand on your heart. And as you breathe in, receiving this kindness, breathing in this kindness, and as you breathe out, breathing out the kindness throughout your whole body. And really see if you can feel the sensations of kindness as you breathe in and breathe out. So breathing in, we receive kindness from our own hands. And as we breathe out, breathing out kindness throughout our whole body. And as we breathe out, having the sense this time of breathing out the kindness to each and every one of us on this flat screen. So as we breathe out, we're breathing out kindness to Chris, to Angela, to the person on the iPhone, to Ted, to Jen, to MM, to Dan, to Robin, to Kate W, to M Groff, to Shauna, to Flo, to Vimla Sara. So as we breathe in, we have the sense of breathing out kindness to each and every one of us here on this flat screen. Because right now, this is our community. We are in community. Yeah, and so just radiating that kindness to each and every one of us. And perhaps you could write in the chat and just say how it was for all of you. Sometimes it's important after we've just done even a short session of meditation to just communicate how that is for us, because sometimes we can be activated when we meditate and we're just left with that. So it'd just be really good to hear from some of you just how it was just doing that short practice of kindness. Yeah. Let's see what, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, because actually giving kindness towards ourselves can be really difficult. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And sometimes when we give kindness towards ourselves, it can be lovely. Yeah. Yeah. It started, and just actually really demonstrating how sometimes it can start off feeling awkward and then end up feeling this warmth. Yeah. So enjoyable, and like the feeling on the hand of the heart and the visualization of the light into my body and the output of kindness into the world. Yeah. More difficult towards the self. Yes. Often that is the reality that it's more difficult to give to ourselves, easier to give out to the world. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm glad that it was moving to hear all our names. Yeah, and so warm, and yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And just to let you know, all of this, what you experience is just what you experience in a moment. There is no rights and no wrongs. If it was difficult, that's just what your experience is. And often people think when we meditate, it's got to be all blissful and all warm and fuzzy. But actually, often when we meditate, it can be difficult. And that's part of the meditation. And in a way, you know, what you share here is us, it's basically the basket of emotions that we can feel when this festive season comes upon us. For some people already, they're slightly activated and already started to get stressed because Christmas is coming, and you know, we've got to deal with the family, got to deal with all the stuff at work, all the food and the parties at work, got to deal with seeing more people on the streets being that bit more wrecked. Or maybe you got to deal because somebody died at this time, and there's so much. And what I wanted to remind us of is the acronym that those of you who are in the rooms of 12 steps would have heard, the acronym HALT. I was going to speak about this actually. And I riff off this because actually we're going to start with H. So H, the festive season can be a bloody hassle, okay? All right, let's get this real. It can be a flipping hassle. It's like, why, you know, one time at the year, it's like you got to buy presents, you got to have that money. It's a hassle. And we know it's a hassle because we know that actually the suicide rate actually goes up during this time of the year. Yeah, it escalates. So it's a hassle for many, many people. It's horrible. That H is, it's horrible for some people. It's horrible. And how are we going to begin to deal with that? And it's really important for us to actually acknowledge that with the looming, with this festive season looming, that for some people, it's been a really horrible time and it's been a big hassle, okay? But I also want to acknowledge for some people, it can be a happy time. It's an excuse for us to go out and use, because why shouldn't we be happy? This is the time we can be happy. We have permission. If there's any time we're going to be happy, this is when we're going to do it. We have permission to get wrecked, to eat more, because that's what everybody does in this season. Yeah. So it's not just that actually when it's horrible and a hassle, that's going to be a trigger for us to pick up our choice of distraction. Actually, when things are going well, that can also be a trigger. You know, I often say sometimes, you know, I can be out in the woods where I live and the sun is shining and I'm experiencing happiness, and it's like I hear a waterfall and I'm really happy, and the thought, it's like a trigger, and I think, wouldn't it be nice to have a glass of champagne and a spliff? This is me moving away from my happy experience. So I also want to remind you that actually being happy can be a trigger. And I'm smiling. I have to speak to Jen, who's got this budgie, this budgie on her shoulder that's making me feel happy. This budgie on my shoulder, on her shoulder. Very lovely. Oh, okay. And we've got Ted with the cat on his lap. And to remind us that actually pets are self-soothing. Yeah, having a pet is really important. In fact, they're also saying, you know, actually people with certain types of dementia, having a pet will really help them. So pets are really self-soothing. So, okay, so we have H, hungry. Yes, H, are we hungry? So we can ask ourselves, you know, are we already beginning to get activated because it's going to be a hassle and because it's a horrible time or because it's a happy time? But actually, we can also ask ourselves, are we hungry? And not just hungry for food. Are we hungry for love? Is this a time when we feel alone? Yeah, because Christmas can be a really lonely time for people. And one of the things that I used to do, because I was fortunate, I grew up in an orphanage, so Christmas was amazing. It was amazing for us kids. That was a great time. And then as an adult, it was like, oh God, what am I going to do? You know, everybody goes to their families. You know, I don't have a family. Where am I going to go? And I actually worked in homeless shelters for many years. It was beautiful to just go and work there and be with people. I got something and they got something. Yeah. Because, yeah, I was hungry. I was hungry to be seen, to be loved. And this time of the year can be a time when we really feel it and we really feel lonely. And then I started going on retreats over that time to deal with that. And now it's like, it's just another day. Why make a fuss about it? I don't give presents. It's just an ordinary day. Yeah. Sometimes I open my house if I'm at home. I'll open my house for people I don't even know to share food with me. But all these things, hungry, happy, hassle, horrible, can really be a trigger. And we need to be aware of this, okay? So again, when we begin to feel this, we can put a hand on our heart and just soothe ourselves with the hand on our heart and just say, it's okay for us to be experiencing some of this and to let go of the story of horrible. Yeah. The story of hungry, I don't get much love. Yeah. The story of it being a hassle, because it's those stories that can trigger us into picking up. So let's move into A. Anxious. Yeah. I've started to get a bit anxious because there's a lot more food around. And, you know, one of my, basically, alcohol, drugs, I had to let go of those, but I have to say that my core addiction was food. Yeah. And I was, not just like overeating, I would purge as well. I couldn't, around Christmas time when there was all this food, I was one of those people where I'd eat everything and then break the dish and pretend it all fell on the floor to cover up, because I couldn't stop myself from eating food. Okay. Just like the alcoholic, if there's alcohol, couldn't stop themselves from drinking, and there were certain drugs I couldn't stop myself from taking. And so this was a really difficult time. I was anxious, and I got so anxious that was a trigger, because I just got into the story, oh, there's going to be so much food, I can't cope. Yeah. So we have to be really aware of that. And there's one of these things that we can do. So Peter Levine, hug. It's like so we could try it now. Put a hand under one of your armpits and the other arm over your other arm. Okay, yeah, just like that. And you could try, one side can be more comfortable than the other. And to really just hold yourself, just allow yourself to hold yourself. Sometimes when I'm meditating and I get anxious, because I can get anxious and a bit activated in meditating, and I've been meditating for years, and there's this, whether I do half an hour or an hour, those last 5 or 10 minutes can be anxious, and this is what I do. And it just soothes me. And just, yeah. And then there's this A with agitated. We can get agitated and we can get angry. A lot of anger can arise during this period. We can get really angry because we've had these arguments with family members, or there's family members who we don't trust, or family members who have hurt us, and we're expected to all be together in this room, and a lot of anger can arise. Okay? Yeah. this effect. Yeah. And we need to take care of ourselves, and we need to honor that. Yeah. And if we can acknowledge we're angry and to begin to tip under that and go back to the H and see actually we're hurting. Yeah. So with this halt and this H, we can also be hurting. Because often when we don't acknowledge we're hurting, we go into the anger. And if we look at the tip of the iceberg metaphor, all people see is that bit above my hand. That's all they see. They just see the anger. Ah, ah. And that's what people are polarizing from. They don't see the hurt and the sadness. And how can we begin to allow ourselves to have that hurt and sadness, that vulnerability? It's easier to be in the anger because it gives us energy. It makes us feel alive. Yeah. But it gets us into trouble. And just acknowledging, yeah, that we're just feeling hurt. Yeah. So L, moving into loneliness. Yeah. The wish to be loved during this time. Listless. Some of us actually begin to feel listless. No energy. Lethargic. And all of these can be triggers, because who likes to experience lethargy? Yeah. And especially those of us who perhaps new in recovery and it's all getting a bit boring and we're beginning to experience this lethargy, this listlessness, and oh well, if we have that binge and we pick up, it'll make us feel alive, as if we're living. And we move away from this lethargy, because this lethargy just, this experience is so uncomfortable in the body. Yeah. So we need to be aware of that. This is the neutral stage. Sometimes in that lethargy, nothing much is going on. And during this period, this festive season, externally around us, there's all this stuff going on. People excited. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody happy, or they present that they're happy. Yeah. And nothing much is going on for us. And we want to be part of this excitement. It's contagious. Maybe, you know, if we pick up, yeah. Sometimes we do it in the confines of our home privately. Yeah. We have this lethargy and we kind of eat at home, or we look at the porn at home, or we gamble at home, and, you know, we drink at home. Yeah. We don't even have to go out of our home anymore. We just stay in our home and isolate. Yeah. So T, yeah, not just are we tired, but I know we have to be really aware, because one of my biggest triggers is not giving myself enough sleep. And God, it's taken me a long time not to recognize it, but to acknowledge it and do something about it. If I don't give myself enough sleep, I'm at risk of picking up, I'm at risk of reacting, you know, I'm at risk of just feeling agitated and angry, all those kind of things. And I'm at risk of picking up food that isn't going to do me any good. So we need to know how many hours sleep we need. And you may be somebody who needs to sleep during the day, and you have to give that to yourself if that's what you need to be doing. Yeah. Yeah. And I want to go back to this lethargy, because, you know, I'm one of these people, there's certain foods that I can just make me feel like this. And what do? We don't want to be sleepy anymore. And we do something to make us wake up. Yeah. And we have to go through that, and actually through that lethargy, and actually think, well, maybe what did we eat to make us do that? But coming back onto this T for tired, know how much sleep you need. You know, because when we're in our active addictions, we don't know how much sleep we need. Yeah, we think we can keep on going. We don't. Our rhythm, our cycle, our rhythm is out of whack. Our central nervous system is out of whack. The circadian rhythm is out of whack. Yeah. So we need to know, are we experiencing tiredness? But also, are we tense? You know, tense. That it tense, when we can experience a tense in the body. What are we holding on to? Are we tense? Because all this can be triggers. Yeah. And I talk about halts, because there's a S at the end of halt. Yeah. Are we stressed? It's a stressful time. Life is stressful anyway, but this time of the year is stressful for many people. It's like, don't have enough money, got to be with the family, I'm not going to be with the family because they're going to put pressure on me. I've got to buy all these things, I've got to buy presents, I've got to do all these things that I don't want to do. I go to work, it's all around me. I can't, if I, want to protect myself and guard the scent stores, I can't guard the scent stores because when I go to work, I see people there partying, blah, blah, blah. When I'm on the streets, I see it in the streets. Yeah. So, yeah, stress. Yeah. And sad. Sad is a big one. How many of you enjoy being sad? Yeah. I used to pride myself, when I heard somebody had died, I would go out raving, I'd go out clubbing because I was like, oh, I know how to make myself happy. Wouldn't allow myself to experience the sadness. I wouldn't allow myself to experience the sadness because I didn't want to be comatose. I wanted to be able to move. I didn't want to feel the weight of the sadness, the heaviness of the sadness. Yeah, I didn't want to experience that, because when I experienced the weight of the sadness or the heaviness of the sadness, what was present for me then was that sad child, that child who was sad in childhood, that child who experienced a lot of sadness. Yeah. So again, this is why I say placing a hand on a heart, because whenever we're activated, whenever we are activated, the past is in the present. That wounded child, that wounded adolescent is appearing in the present, and it needs to be held, and it needs to be seen, and it needs to be loved. And only we can do that. Other people giving us this love and seeing us, that's the cherry on top of the cake. It's the icing on the cake. Yeah. Yeah. We need to begin to see that child and have the confidence and the courage to hold ourselves and to give us that love that we didn't get as a child. So over this festive season, remember halts. Am I being triggered? What's going on here? Am I happy? Is this why I'm thinking about using? So whenever you find yourself thinking about using, get curious rather than believe the facilitated thought, I need a drink to make me feel better. I need a drink because it's party time, or because I deserve this. Get curious. What's going on? Am I experiencing happiness and it's a trigger? So just enjoy the happiness, or is something horrible going on? Am I experiencing hassle? Yeah. And one of my things that I teach people is it's the instant breathing space. The instant breathing space. I was taught this years ago, told, so you're going to stop smoking whenever you had that thought you want a cigarette, just do this. And I want you all to try it now. Just do this. So those of you who haven't got your camera on, I'm putting my fingers to my lips, and you can take a pen, and I'm just taking this. This is why we smoked, okay? Because it gave us a break. When we inhale and exhale, it transports us into a different place, and it gives us a moment to stop and pause. Because when we're activated, we're not going to be able to do a 5-minute breathing space and get in touch with the body. We're not going to be able to do that. We're too activated. So again, even if you can't do that, get up and go to the washroom and take a moment. Get up from your desk and take a moment. Move when you're activated and feel the body. Lift your head up. It's another thing you can do, like with you get overwhelmed and your mind captured with these thoughts. Lift your head up. Bring it back down again. Yeah. These are subtle things that you can do. Okay, so sending loving kindness to all of you here and to all of you who are listening. And well, maybe some of you, I know by the time you listen to this, the retreats will be gone, but I am co-leading a recovery retreat this week, Wednesday to Sunday at Big Bear in LA. And you can come for the weekend on Wednesday to Sunday. And then the following weekend, I think that's the 13th to the 15th, I'm actually leading a retreat back in Vancouver, the Joy of Recovery. That's what the retreat is. I'm going to be co-leading that with Brian Dean Williams, the Joy of Recovery, and the other retreat co-leading with Diana Gorge. So, you know, who knows if it's spontaneous, but maybe I'll see you on my online course in January, what starts January the 13th, the Mindfulness-Based Addiction Recovery program, which is a very good course. It's all online and you can do it at your own pace. And yeah, so thank you. And I really think that I'm going to commit to doing a meeting on Christmas Day. Yeah. Okay. So go well. Thank you.
Thank you, Vimlasara. Thank you for your great sense of welcome, acceptance, and really the groundedness you bring to your teachings and that you brought to me here today. And I'm expecting that others have kind of shared this sense of community that your words bring. I wanted to, again, invite you all, if you're joining us here for this live teaching, for those of you who will later join us by podcast or video recording, we invite you to show your support for our teacher and our programs by offering what you can as Dana. Your generosity helps to strengthen our recovery community. It helps to grow the Academy and can be a practical expression of your gratitude. And helping to create these teachings is really an offering to everyone. Have a lovely week, and may you be happy, may you be well and at ease, and enjoy your holidays.